It had been 5 hours since I heard the last sounds from the brink of suburbia. I kept walking. The sun inched closer to the horizon line. I didn't care what I was going to do when it got dark. My world was already as dark as it could get. Through the trees, I saw a deer at the same time it saw me. It darted away. Behind followed the rest of its family, fearful of the sight of a potential predator. "What are you running from?" I said, though they were now too far away to hear my voice. "Why are you afraid of what I do to you? What do you have to live for?" What did a family of deer have to live for? An actual predator would find them the next day. A coyote or a fox or something that they're just a meal to. No one will remember them, because there is no one to remember them. I kept walking. I came out here to find something different, but everything was the same. What did I expect to find in a forest? It's the same thing, over and over, endless. I tripped over a root and felt my face hurtling towards the forest floor, but something caught my fall. I wiped the blood from my knuckles off on my shirt. I kept walking. As it got darker, I thought about making a shelter. I quickly decided that there was no point. I guess I didn't feel like reality would let me be sheltered. Suddenly, it got darker. I could hardly see. I hadn't heard the thunder, but I started to feel the rain, and it quickly began pouring on me, soaking my clothes through instantly. I was cold and wet, and I still couldn't see anything. I kept walking. It's not like I felt worse. I walked into a tree. I kept walking into trees. I couldn't see. I felt a branch sharply hit my neck as I walked into it, and I fell down. The rain hit my eyes, so I closed them. After some time, I noticed I couldn't feel the rain anymore. I wondered if I had just stopped feeling it after being completely drenched for so long. I held out my hand, but I didn't feel the rain. I felt wood against my hand. I guess it was the tree that knocked me down. I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was morning. I was lying in grass. I looked up to see a blank sky. I stood up and kept walking. I could have been walking back to where I came from. I could have been walking in the same direction I started in, or anything in between. I noticed pretty quickly how sore my legs were. This was more than I had used them before. I only walked for about 15 minutes before I sat down again. I didn't have the willpower to be angry, but I was confused. How could I get anywhere on legs that didn't want to carry me? I sat there alone in the forest. If morning turned into afternoon as I sat there, I couldn't have known. As I ruminated, I looked up and I realized where I was, or rather where I wasn't. I hadn't had a goal in mind when I started walking. I just hoped I'd reach it anyway. And I'd gotten this far. I had no idea where I was, and the truth behind that startled me. I was so capable of getting lost. I'd walked so far the day before, I could be anywhere in that forest. I stood up again and started walking, but stopped when I heard his voice. He said, "That's not the direction you want to go." I turned around and noticed, for the first time, a man that had been following me. He grabbed my shoulders and turned me around.
"I'll show you where to go."
I obliged. My legs still hurt, but that wasn't the sensation I was paying attention to anymore. I was seeing every different tree. I was hearing every different bird. I didn't know their sounds to name them, but I started to be able to tell each one apart on that walk. I made my own names for them. Every once in a while, when I was distracted by them, the man would reorient me towards the direction he was leading me in. After what he had done, I quietly believed him. Judging by the movement of the sun, I had been walking 7 hours by the time I started hearing cars. I wished I wasn't hearing them at first, but I could still hear the birds singing in their vocal ranges that set them apart from the traffic noise that tried to drown them out. I got to a clearing. I looked back at the man. I turned and didn't look back. I couldn't see him anymore, but I knew he was still there.